Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. We're glad that you've come down to Kingsbury Hall. Prokofiev was trying to imitate the sound of balalaikas, and it was just too irresistible not to play that on mandolins. Now we'd like to turn to a piece called Blue Rondo Alla Turk by Dave Brubeck. There are three pieces of a Turkish nature that we've been into. One is the Turkish March from the Ruins of Athens of Beethoven, and another is the Rondo alla Turca of Mozart, and the third is the Brubeck. And time limitations being what they were, we picked the Brubeck to do this evening.
Yeah, thanks a lot. You know, the trend nowadays seems to be for a lot of chamber ensembles and string quartets to name themselves after the most esoteric and cryptic things they can think of. Well, obviously, we've kind of gone against the grain by naming ourselves after a pun that was played upon Vivaldi's name by a very obscure 18th century composer. Don't you think? Yeah. We want to make it. So Aldiviva, of course, is a transposition of Vivaldi that Marcello Benedetto made. Was that his name? See, this guy made because Vivaldi had a penchant of using...
He was the illegitimate son of Lorenzo the Insignificant.
Yeah.
That's very important. You're going to hear more about him. We have to mention him a lot.
So anyway, he did this because Vivaldi liked to use instruments such as the mandolin. It works for us because we do a lot of flip-flopping or doubling of instruments, so we kind of think it fits somehow. So in order to pay homage to not necessarily Marcello, but Vivaldi, we're going to play Concerto Grosso of his, in D minor. And this is in 3 movements: Allegro, Largo, and Allegro.
Thank you. Now for the second movement. This is a Largo. Thank you. Yeah, we up till 5:30 we were still thinking, oh, this rain's just it's gonna blow over, it's gonna go away. Which brings us directly to the next piece, a piece of Tully's called Elements, subtitled Water, which we could have done with a little less of. There isn't too much music that's written for Mandolin Quartet, so most of our things are arrangements. And I thought this next piece, since the first time I had heard it, it was arranged for Mandolin Quartet, was originally a mandolin piece. But in fact, this piece was written for 5 electric guitars and bass. Tully has since arranged it. There's an orchestra version of it, there's a quartet with orchestra version of it, and we're talking about a slide whistle and trombone version of it when it hits gold.
I like to arrange.
This piece was premiered with orchestra quite recently, I think July 5th was it, in Louisville, with the Modern Mandolin Quartet playing the solo parts. And that was quite an event for Tully and quite an event for this piece. The Modern Mandolin Quartet has also recorded the version that you're about to hear, a recording that's going to be released in several months.
Yeah, in October, so keep your eyes out.
Tully showed me the program, and I like the series in Louisville. They do a series of summer concerts at the zoo that are called Roorchestra concerts.
Thank you very much. Elements. Thanks again. This next piece is a favorite of all of ours, and it's called Ashokan Farewell by J. Ungar. And it's music that you may have heard if you've seen the PBS Civil War documentaries, which were produced by Ken, who was the producer? Ken Burns. And Pat actually talked to Jay recently about the piece, and so I'm going to have Pat tell you a little bit more about what it means.
Oh, it was sort of a funny thing, like the four of us have been playing it, and Corey Katsianis, the assistant conductor of the Utah Symphony, wanted to do it on this tour last week. We were up in Rexburg, Idaho. And so John and I said, sure. So we wrote out an orchestration to do it with the orchestra. I was playing guitar, Todd's part, and John was playing the beautiful violin solo. So at any rate, it went very well, and we were all excited about it. It was a lot of fun. And we got back, and I started thinking, gee, that was totally illegal. So I called Jay Ungar up, and I said, I'm going to be really straight with you. We just played your piece, and I didn't ask you if we could. And he laughed, and he said, that's fine. You have my permission. In retrospect, he said, just don't publish it and sell it. He said, if you do that, I'll sue you. But so I got his permission. He was a very nice guy. We had a fun talk. There's a story that bass players tell about somebody comes backstage and the violinists are playing all the concerti, the Tchaikovsky, the Beethoven, and there's a bass player who's just standing back in a corner and he's just very quietly playing an open string, just boom, like this. And this guy comes up and he says, you know, all these other guys, they're up and down, their instruments, playing everything under the sun, and you're just playing one note. He said, you know, why is that? He says, well, you see, they're still looking. I found mine. And I think about that story because I played the clarinet, the bugle, the trumpet, the viola da gamba, the guitar, the lute, you know, and now I'm picking on mandolins. And I'm hoping that I finally found the instrument that I'm, you know, has my note on it. At any rate, the next piece, the reason I was thinking about that was it dates back to when I fancied myself a guitarist. And there was a wonderful recording that Julian Bream made with his consort in which he had transcribed the courtly dances from Gloriana, an opera by Benjamin Britten that had been written for the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II for his consort. And I much preferred the Bream consort version to the full orchestra version of Britten. So at any rate, when we first got together about a year ago, I was thinking about that, and I thought, gee, we had just been playing mandolin quartets, and this was the first piece where we sort of became a broken consort and added the guitar and the violin, and just realized that the mandolin quartet was great, but there were other colors that were fun to play with, right, when we've been broken ever since. So this is the Choral Dances from Gloriana by Benjamin Britten. There is a march followed by a courant, a pavane, a Morris dance, a la volta, which is the jumping dance that Queen Elizabeth liked to do so much, and then a concluding march. We'll take about a 15. Oh, you're there to say it.
We're going to take a 15-minute break now, and then we'll be back for the second half of the show. I guess I don't need to tell you to be careful tomorrow.
Thanks a lot. Would like to move from the Mozart to a piece by Handel from the Water Music. And as Patrick normally does when he's passing out the introductions for these, he usually gives them to the person that knows the least about the piece. And so I'm supposed to kill some time while they tune, talking about things I know nothing about. So I'm not even going to let him get in tune this time. This is the Water Music from, it's the Alla Hornpipe from the Water Music by G.F. Handel. Whoops.
Keep talking, Todd.
He was born a poor man, and I think we're ready.
That reminds me of a story about Handel. We're going to play some Kurt Weill in a little while, and there's an interesting thing. We're doing some pieces from the Threepenny Opera, which was based on the Beggar's Opera of John Gay. And Handel had been writing all of these operas for the London audiences about Greek gods and goddesses, all these classical allusions, and they were pretty saturated with all of this. And so when Gay came along and wrote an opera about beggars and thieves and what have you. It was great, and it was such a hit. And Handel was so jealous or hurt, he never wrote another opera, and that's why we have the Messiah.
Sorry I asked. Maybe. Yeah?
It's true. You turned up.
This next thing we're going to do is a medley of Russian folk dances, and we're going to have Pat tell you about that. There's been a kind of a resurgence of interest in the mandolin, and Pat's dad, Marty Zwick, has organized a mandolin orchestra. And isn't that where we got this piece?
And when he was doing that, we talked to Jim Major, who used to have the Salt Lake Mandolin Orchestra. I don't know how many years it's been defunct, but it went for 5 or 6. And so we got their repertoire, some of their pieces, and this is one that we particularly liked. It's a medley of Russian folk songs.
The next set of numbers is taken from the Capriol suite by Peter Warlock, and this is similar to the Britten in that the basis for these pieces are old dances, in this case mostly from the 14th, 15th century. We do them in pairs, as they frequently would have been done, pairing a very slow dance with a quicker, some kind of quicker step. In this case, we start with a piece that, I won't even try the French, basically says feet in the air, which is in direct contrast to the next one, which is a bossa dance. And in the bossa dance, your feet were never to leave the ground. They slid on the floor instead. It was the most popular dance at the Burgundian court. And I think, again, the following two dances, we do a very beautiful pavane, followed by a very quick bronze lace, I think.
It's a bronzel. It comes from the French word branlin, or branel. I can't remember exactly, but it means to lean from side to side. And it was the end of the bass dances.
Are we going to do that?
This last January, Symphony Hall was renamed Abravanel Hall, and at the dinner honoring Maestro Abravanel, we played the little three-penny music of Kurt Weill, who was a very close friend of Abravanel's. Abravanel conducted the premiere in 1933 in Paris of the Seven Deadly Sins, which the orchestra also played in January. We'd like to play three pieces from the little three-penny music, and one from Mahogany, the Alabama song that was made very famous by the Doors on their first album as the Whiskey Bar song. I think you'll recognize it. When Brecht went back to Berlin, he founded a very famous theater company, probably the most famous theater company in the East, called the Berliner Ensemble in East Berlin. And when the wall came down and the West and the East were united, the Berliner Ensemble folded up, and at the last performance at the Theater am Schiffbauer Dome, the audience spontaneously rose and sang a song that, I don't know if you'll know it in German, but you might know it in English, Oh, the Shark Has Pearly Teeth, Dear. We might try and create that atmosphere for you tonight.
Sie trägt im Gesicht und markiert hat ein Messer, doch das Messer sieht man nicht.
Thank you very much. This next tune we're going to play, I'm calling a tune because it's kind of a jazz thing. It's called Hey Fred, and I wrote it just recently, and it's based on a Chopin etude, believe it or not. And if some of you are familiar with the Trois Nouvelles Etudes by Chopin, this is the one in A flat that I used. I teach theory here at the U, music theory that is, and a couple of months ago I was correcting a quiz of a student of mine, and it happened to be an analysis of this Chopin etude. And I thought, gee, these are such beautiful chord changes. I think I'll write a tune based on them and throw in a little bit of my own stuff as well, and completely change the rhythmic style. So, but I owe this to Chopin, basically.
And you all thought it was a prop.
I haven't found anything that Chopin wrote for the Mando bass yet, but I'm still looking. This, by the way, we forgot one thing. I'd like to introduce us. This is John Thompson playing first mandolin and violin. Todd Woodbury playing mandocello and guitar. Tully Cathey on mandola and guitar. And this biggest member of the mandolin family, the mando bass, and the smallest, the mandolin, I've been playing, and I'm Pat Zwick.
Thank you very much. Hey, Fred.
Would like to finish tonight with a piece that we've arranged. This is a Brazilian piece, a choro. This one is by a very gifted guitarist composer named Celso Machado. It's called Pacoca, which is a kind of a suite. So a suite to go out on. This was originally written for guitar and flute, but in our inimitable style, we've changed things a little bit. So Pacoca, Celso Machado.
Todd's being modest. Actually, he did this arrangement.